Welcome to Becoming is Messy, where we dive deep into the journey of survival, transformation, and everything in between. I'm your host, Megan Dawson, here to share the honest, unfiltered stories behind my own process of becoming. Life isn't a pretty and perfect straight line, and neither is becoming the person we're meant to be. Here, we embrace the ups, the downs, all the beautiful, chaotic, messy moments that shape who we are. Whether you're in the thick of change or reflecting on past transformations, this space is for real conversations about what it means to grow, stumble, and rise again. So get comfy, settle in, and let's get messy. Hello, fellow and future messies. You're here for episode 2, and I just love that for us. I'm guessing you didn't just stumble here by accident. You're actually on this journey with me, ready to get messy and real. I just know we're going to have so much fun growing and healing together. And if you did happen to just stumble in by accident, please give me a chance. You're clearly meant to be here, either by a twist of fate or at minimum, a really well-targeted algorithm. Regardless of why, I'm just so glad that you've found Becoming is Messy. Today, we're talking about something that's been on my heart for a really long time. It's one of my absolute favorite existential topics for late night reflections on the what's and the whys of life with my husband and my besties. And that's the belief that life is pretty much one big ridiculous game. For whatever reason, some people get to start on easy mode with unlimited lives, a full guidebook, and an older sibling coaching them through every boss fight. And then there's us. I feel like we spawned into the game at level -10, no tutorial, no weapons, and a fucking soundtrack with people just repeatedly yelling at us, just figure it out already, while we frantically push buttons, hope for the best, and get stuck for years in a glitched environment. No, the game of life is far from a fair playing field. That we unfortunately can't change. But that doesn't at all mean we have to stay stuck on fuck-up mode forever. With that in mind, here are the main things we're going to talk about in this episode. 1, why the world feels so damn stressful right now. Spoiler, it is not just you. 2, how trauma rewires your brain and sets you up to struggle, but also how knowing this can change the game. 3, the imperfect level up, which is the system I created to help people like us not just survive the game of life, but play it on our own terms. And last, before we wrap this episode, I'll give you a sneak peek into the next episode, where we're going to deep dive into the very first step in the imperfect level up. In that first step, we're going to have fun firing your inner critic and officially let your inner voice, your deepest knowing, take the lead. One more thing before I continue that I keep forgetting to state. I curse. Sometimes, a lot, and that's just embedded in the Jersey girl that I am. Maybe that's not exactly part of your jam, and I get that. But with authenticity being a core value of the Becoming is Messy community, I'm guessing most of you will be cool with the fact that it's part of who I am. With all of that in mind, let's dive into today's topic. I'm going to head right into the obvious. The world is stressed right now. And I do not just mean, oh no, my Amazon package is late stressed. I mean, if one more thing goes wrong, I might scream into the fucking void stressed. Some perspective on how bad people are feeling. A majority of Americans are reporting high levels of stress, and that's especially true for women. Many cite political uncertainty, economic concerns, and work-related worries as the culprits of their stress. I read somewhere that champagne sales are down because people aren't in the mood to celebrate. If that's actually true, isn't that just so sad? Burnout rates, they're at an all-time high. Anxiety disorders are rising across all age groups. And of course, we are all so well aware of how expensive eggs are and seemingly everything else. If you feel exhausted, overwhelmed, or like your brain is running 47 tabs at once, you are not alone. And for those of us with a chronic trauma background, this stress doesn't just feel bad, it hijacks our whole nervous system. Instead of handling stress like some enlightened guru, your brain is just constantly screaming, alarm, alarm, alarm. Everything's in crisis, alarm. That's why calming our nerves, being kind to ourselves, and not turning into rage goblins when someone takes too long at a four-way stop is so important. Let's talk about how else trauma messes with our game settings. When we've experienced repeated trauma, whether from childhood, relationships, medical issues, or life just being a relentless fucking little gremlin, your brain adapts in ways that don't set you up for success. Here's a bit of what the science says. Your prefrontal cortex actually shrinks. This part of your brain helps with logic, decision-making, and impulse control. When it's damaged by trauma, making smart, well-thought-out choices becomes really, really hard. Your amygdala gets overactive. This is your danger detector. It's supposed to protect you, but after trauma, it becomes hypersensitive. That means even minor stressors can feel like life or death situations. The nervous system stays in overdrive. Instead of making steady progress in life, we're busy reacting to every little stressor like it's an emergency. The data is clear. Trauma puts people at a disadvantage. According to the landmark study ACEs, which stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences, people with high ACE scores are 3 times more likely to struggle with financial insecurity. They're more likely to drop out of school and have unstable careers. They're at significantly higher risk for addiction and repeating toxic cycles in relationships. And the overall consequences add up to delayed success. If you've ever looked around and thought, why does it seem that everyone else has their shit together while I'm still trying to figure out basic things like boundaries, self-worth, and how not to spiral at minor inconveniences? This is why. And it is not your fault. Trauma forces you to focus on survival when everyone else is focused on growth. And when your brain has been stuck in survival mode for years, the idea of leveling up in life feels fake, like something for other people. Which brings me to something a lot of us have faced: addiction and self-sabotage. When your nervous system is constantly fried and you don't know how to regulate yourself, you start looking for quick fixes. Some people find that fix in substances, drugs, alcohol, anything to numb the pain. I was just 11 when I discovered the numbing feeling of alcohol, and it went on to become my go-to drug for the next 20 years. I am sad to admit that, but in the midst of a life with chronic trauma and chronic pain, alcohol helped quiet my nerves for just a period of time, and it was a welcome reprieve until I found better strategies. Some people, hello, me, find comfort in toxic relationships because chaos feels so familiar and stability feels foreign. When you've spent a lifetime feeling unworthy, you're just willing to accept scraps of affection. You're willing to make poor choices and not respect boundaries of other people's relationships. You're really just willing to accept whatever attention comes your way. That was me for many years. Some people chase adrenaline. Totally also me. Taking dangerous risks because feeling something is better than feeling nothing. Across adolescence and young adulthood, I can't even keep up with the count of how many times I made stupid decisions that really risked my life. I'm honestly lucky to still be alive. Oh my God. Okay, sidetrack, because just even mentioning my risk taking has me thinking of a story from high school. It was my first time traveling internationally without adults, just me and a girlfriend heading out for spring break. Let me clarify, high school spring break. We were just 18 years old. We went to Cancun, and can I just say it was wild. What a week. We have a photo album that documents all of the crazy shit we did that week. One of the days we went on a booze cruise. Me and my drunk ass self ended up winning a dance contest to the Macarena. Not at all because my dance moves were amazing, but because I was obliterated and making a total ass out of myself. I really think the contest people felt sorry for me and ended up awarding me the prize, which ended up just being another bottle of tequila to get me even more drunk. One of the first people we encounter at the island we headed to that day was this young local guy sitting on a moped, offering to give us a tour of the island on the back of his moped. Without even a thought of worry, I jumped right on and went with him. What was I thinking? Are you fucking kidding me? I really can't believe how lucky I am that he really did end up being a nice guy. But that's the kind of dumb shit that I ended up doing all of the time when I was younger. And honestly, I'm still kind of an adrenaline junkie. But now being aware of that and having the tools to navigate my trauma as well, I'm able to be much more purposeful in the types of experiences I agree to or create for myself. Okay, back to our originally scheduled program. People with high trauma backgrounds are 4 to 10 times more likely to develop addictions. And when you look at that stat, it makes sense. If you never learned how to regulate your emotions, of course you're going to look for an escape. This is why people with chronic trauma often take longer to figure life out. Not because we're lazy, not because we're incapable, but because we are constantly battling an invisible weight that other people do not have to carry. But here is the good news. Once you recognize the game that you're actually playing, you can start to play smarter. And that is where the Imperfect Level Up System comes in. This is the system I created to help myself. And now, here to help you. Take control of your messy, beautiful, chaotic life. Each letter represents a mindset shift, a tool, or a strategy that I know can help you move forward. This system will be a foundational element of the Becoming is Messy podcast. We'll start with the overview today. We'll dive into each letter in the next few episodes, and then we'll continue to leverage the concepts going forward. For now, let's start with that overview. The letter L stands for let your inner voice lead. The letter E, explore your childhood as an observer. V stands for value the lessons, even the messy ones. Those are often the most important ones. E, embrace the magic of the universe. L, lean into your unique healing needs. U, unapologetically love your authentic self. And finally, P, pass your level up knowledge on to your tribe. This was the exact path that started to unfold for me when I was around 30 years old. At that time, I found myself as a new mom, miserable in my marriage, and yearning for something better for my daughter, Mara, and me. Little by little, I learned my way through that level of my life. From the early days of recognizing my inner voice, all the way through to a brutal divorce, and eventually to a point where I established feelings of worthiness and self love, and my first ever really healthy and loving relationship. It took me a few years, but when I found myself sharing my lessons with others, I thought I was done with this system and I could just live out the rest of my life as a pro of life. But of course, that was certainly not the case. And as soon as I reached that high point, another unforeseen challenge came. I've now been remarried for nearly a decade, and the challenges, they of course keep coming. With each new one, I rely on those original lessons. The imperfect level up, it no longer takes years to move through. Because I'm open to the challenges of life, and I'm confident in my ability to navigate them. I so know that you too can gain that same mindset and confidence in yourself. You got this. We got this. Next week, we'll be diving deep into the letter L. Let your inner voice lead, aka firing your inner critic so you can start trusting yourself. For now, just keep reminding yourself that you're leveling up in ways that you can't even see yet. Before we wrap today, I want to invite you to be part of the Becoming is Messy community. Subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss a single episode. And if there's anything that resonates with you, please leave a review. Your feedback means the world to me, and it helps other people find this community. Follow me on social media. I'd love to hear your ideas for future topics, your questions, and stories from your own messy moments. And if you're feeling inspired, check out the Becoming is Messy shop, where you can grab a mug, a t-shirt, or something else that reminds you to embrace your messy magic every single day. A huge thank you to the incredible Wolves and Sheep for providing the music for Becoming is Messy. Check them out on your favorite music streaming platform. As we close out today's episode, remember this: messy is just another word for growing. So keep showing up, keep laughing, and keep making beautifully awkward progress. Until next time, stay messy, my friends.